So I recently visited Petra, the ancient city carved into the red sandstone canyons of Jordan, and I gotta say it's easily one of the coolest things I've ever seen, but there are a few things you need to know before going. Because I had a practically perfect experience, but I can also see how a trip to this world wonder can be much less than magical. Between the crowds, the scams, the heat, the sheer size of this archaeological site, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. Here's everything you need to know before visiting Petra. The most important thing is to go right when it opens. I am not a morning person by any means, but I'm so glad I woke up for this. Petra opens at 6 a.m. Get to the gate right at 6 a.m. It's a 20-minute walk through the slot canyon before you reach the iconic treasury. Here was my view walking in as one of the first people on the site. And here was my view walking out later that day at around 4 p.m. If you want to avoid huge crowds of tourists, salesmen, golf carts, and camels, just get up early. It is a small price to pay to have this incredible place to yourself, even for just a few minutes. It just adds to how mystical and surreal this place actually is. The closest town to Petra is Wadi Musa, so stay the night here if you want to get that early start. I recommend Nomads hostel with this sweet view from the rooftop bar where they have shisha, wine, and the Indiana Jones movie filmed at Petra playing on repeat. They have dorms and private rooms, and I stayed in a dorm for about $15 a night. Next thing to know is Petra is massive. The two main attractions, the treasury and the monastery, are about an hour's hike away from each other, and some parts of it are very steep. What no one told me about going to Petra is that it is a workout. And that is another big reason to go early, because once that midday Arabian heat hits, nobody wants to be out here hiking. And bring lots of sunscreen, because otherwise you are going to blend in with the red rocks of Petra. Showing up early meant we practically got the monastery to ourselves for a little bit, aside from these furry friends that decided to join us. And there's so much more to see than just the treasury and monastery. Before going, I've only seen pictures of those two buildings, so I didn't know just how big Petra was. There's a Roman theater, Byzantine churches, more of these tombs carved into the canyons, and also just hiking trails that have no one on them because everyone's sticking to the main route. Get the treasury and the monastery out of the way quickly, and then hit all the other highlights. Get a map at the entrance, and then visit just as much as you can. The royal tombs were a big highlight, and even in the middle of the day, there were hardly any other people there. Last few tiny little tidbits. People will try to sell you entrance to viewpoints. Ignore them. There are plenty of free views to be had. This was my favorite. You could buy a coffee or a juice and just sit up here as long as you want. The High Place of Sacrifice is another excellent viewpoint if you just want to get a panoramic view of everything. You get to see the natural beauty of the area and all the buildings, all the structures. It is gorgeous up there. So how much does it actually cost to do all this? Tickets to Petra come in 1, 2, or 3 day options. 1 day is 50 dinar, about 70 USD, or 2 days is about 77 USD. So I got the 2-day pass, and it took every bit of those 2 days to see everything we wanted to see. We had a fast-paced first day and then a later start the second day, and we practically still covered the entire site. A 1-day ticket will allow you to see the highlights, but I think the lesser known spots are also well worth checking out. 3 days might be overkill unless you're super into archaeology or history. I'd say 2 days was the perfect amount of time. If you get the Jordan pass, it's super worth it because it covers Petra and the visa fee, which already recoups the cost of the pass. On top of that, you get free entrance to a lot of museums, other archaeological sites like Jerash and Ajlun Castle, and lots more. I know the price sounds like a lot, but it is so worth it. Petra is massive and just breathtakingly beautiful. It was so much cooler than I ever imagined and easily lived up to the hype.